Bryant's wife, her name is Vanessa Bryant, as you guys can see right there. And her heart was likely shattered into a million pieces this morning. And Lord knows, I could only imagine what she's probably going through, right? But she learned that her husband, the all great famous, awesome man, awesome NBA player, and just an awesome human being all the way around, she learned that her husband, who will always be known as one of the greatest NBA players of all time, as well as their 13-year-old daughter, Gianna Gigi, died in a helicopter crash this morning. Kobe, who was only 41 at the time of his death this morning, reportedly was traveling with 4 other people, including his daughter Gia, at the time of the crash. And there were no survivors in this crash. And if you guys got a chance to look at that news video and see the amount of damage that had occurred, and I don't even want to show that video. I'm not going to even show it just because, I mean, it just grips your heart, man, right? But let's talk about this a little bit more. So Kobe Bryant and Vanessa got married in 2001. For people that don't know, you guys can see the photos right there. The NBA player once confessed that he met his wife in 1999. He was 21 at the time, and she was 17. And Bryant was the first guard ever drafted into the NBA directly out of high school, or excuse me, the first guard ever drafted into the NBA out of high school. Okay, Kobe proposed to her 6 months after they met. Now, small, little thing here I'll talk about, because you guys know that marriages can be tumultuous, especially nowadays, with the marriage divorce rate being almost to like 70 to 80%. It's pretty high. But Vanessa had filed for a divorce from Kobe in 2011, citing irreconcilable differences as the reason for the split. But in 2013, they both announced that they had called off their divorce and remained married all the way up until his passing. She and Kobe have 4 children together. For the people that do not know, you'll see some pictures scroll across the screen here. His youngest being 7 months old, but they have 4 children together, and they're all girls. Natalie Diamante was born January 2003. Gianna Marie is the daughter that you see right there, who was in the helicopter with Kobe when she died, was born in 2006. Bianca Bella was born in 2016. And Capri Kobe was born in 2019, just this past year, so she's only 7 months old. At the time of his retirement in 2015, she released a statement saying, "I'm so excited to see what God has in store for us, and now that one chapter is closing and new ones are opening, and now following this tragedy, it's become a very heartbreaking message." But there are definitely a lot of things that I want to discuss. First and foremost, this man right here was a family man to the core. And you guys see that this is what somebody wrote about him, saying that he's the perfect father. And I got to say, if a lot of us men were even half the man, half the father that Kobe was, it'd be definitely something to be, revered. But he was always spending time with his kids, as you guys can see from a lot of these photos. He took his girls to games. He was always with his kids. He spent all of his free time with his family. So that's an amazing thing in itself, especially with him being, in such high demand and being such, an amazing athlete. And even after his career, after basketball, being really, really busy. Another thing that you guys need to know is that Kobe was always all about his wife. And I really, really admire their relationship. And like I say, being married, things happen. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's perfect. But the fact that they did what they had to do, and I want you guys to remember that I said this the other day, that in a marriage, I believe that more than committing to the person, you should commit to the commitment. I'll say that again because I didn't say it right. In a marriage, I believe that you should commit to the commitment as opposed to committing to the person. And I wanted to give credit to that the other day. That's actually a credit to Will Smith who said that, but shout out to him. But she's been there supporting him through thick and thin, through good and bad, through rich days and poor days, all of that stuff, right? So this is essentially, what a marriage is built on and what people have to go through. You really have to make sure and commit to the commitment to make sure that you're doing best by your marriage and by your children. Another thing, Kobe was always teaching and educating all kids. But one thing that I did not know is how close he was actually to Shaq's kids, which I thought was pretty dope because they refer to him as uncle. Shaq actually said that he hugs his kids like he hugs his own kids, which I think is pretty dope. The fact that they had, not only a business relationship when it came to being teammates, but they were more than that, a lot more than that. You know what I'm saying? And Kobe also was coaching his daughter's team, which I'm like, how does he find time to do all of this stuff? But I thought that was amazing as well. So he got a chance to be around a lot of other kids, a lot of other parents. They got a chance to see the legend in the flesh. And for him to just be able to impart a lot of his wisdom onto those kids, I thought that was really awesome as well. Another thing that I wanted to bring up, for the people that I know that are out there that do want to touch on some negativity, and no, Peach Cutie Pie, Vanessa, from what I understand, is not pregnant right now. She had the baby 7 months ago. Yeah, so you already said that. Okay. So, yeah, that's what it is. That was the old picture of her while she was pregnant, but she had the baby 7 months ago. So, for the people that wanted to touch on something negative, I did want to address that because I have already heard it brought up, and I'm going to definitely talk about his father here in a moment, so put a pin in it. We'll come right back to that. But when it comes to the situation that happened with Kobe and his wife, with the whole, cheating allegation, that whole scandal and things like that, I will tell you guys this to sum it up and make it really nice and sweet. All women on the planet want a powerful man. It is hard to resist the temptation that makes up our DNA. That's exactly how I'm going to summarize that. All women want a powerful man. The NBA players, the avatars that they've created for themselves, for the world to just see them as these, amazing people, these really, really high people, in this world that are known, that are loved, that people would give their right leg and right arm to just meet these people. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to that, it's like, for me, temptation, even being a simple man, just being a normal working everyday 9 to 5 man, is already difficult as it is. You say preach, so maybe some women out there understand what I'm saying. And I'm glad that you guys are here. It is very hard to resist temptation as it is because the flesh is weak. It's hard for women to resist the temptation. It's hard for men to resist the temptation. But when you're a powerful man and when you have the world pretty much at your feet, pretty much any woman would want to be around him and would do anything and everything to be around this man. And the fact that he had a weak moment is understandable. As much as you don't like it, as much as it'll stain, put a stain on you as a man or whatever the case is. But I think even more than that one weak moment, and think about that, throughout his entire 41 years, you hear about that one weak moment. And I think that in itself is very impressive. The fact that he's been able to make sure and really just commit to his wife and commit to that commitment that they've made. They moved past that. She was right there. And I don't know if a lot of you guys are old enough to remember this, but I sat there and I watched that interview that they did. And to just sit there and watch his wife right next to his side support him through having that press conference and talking about all of that stuff, I got to tell you, man, Vanessa had my respect at that point going forward, because I'm like, wow. And stayed with him. They didn't even discuss divorce until years after that. So I just wanted to throw that out there because that's really important for everybody out there that wants to say, oh, well, he cheated and this and that. Let's move on past that, okay? Kobe's life is dedicated, his life, to greatness in every facet of his life. How many people can agree with that? Every facet in his life, pretty much from the moment he was born, because you guys have to also understand that we'll get to that here in a moment, but his father was actually in the NBA, so he already had a lot to live up to. His own dad was in the NBA, and so he was pretty much in the spotlight from the moment that he was born. And I actually heard one of the newscasters a little bit ago who used to cover a lot of the Lakers games on TV, especially during the playoffs. He said that he actually met Kobe like pretty much after his dad had him when he was born. And I was like, wow, that's really telling. This man has been in the spotlight pretty much since the moment that he was born. But the fact that he exceeded in life, he always faced adversity. When he was in high school, I don't know if you guys knew this, but when he first came into high school, his high school team struggled. So he had to rise to the occasion of greatness. Then he went to the NBA and had some adversity and had to rise to the occasion. In his marriage, he had some adversity and he had to rise to the occasion. Even after his career, I just feel like there was so much more that he was going to do. But let's move on. Let's talk a little bit more about this. In my opinion, maximize your life now because you never know when life is going to end. Whatever planning that you guys are doing, whatever things that you want to accomplish, whatever goals that you hope to accomplish, whatever it is that you want your kids to do, I encourage you guys to really just take a moment and just understand that tomorrow is not promised to us, and anything that you want to accomplish, even for a simple thing of so many times we do stories on my platform where parents have their children that pass away for whatever reasons, and the first thing we do is open up GoFundMes. A very simple thing that we could do is have life insurance on our children. Shout out to my daughter's mother because that's something we've done from the moment that she was born. So I'm just saying, like, I think that for the things that we talk about that are in our head that we want to do, I think that those are things that make people like Kobe great because he doesn't just think about it. He doesn't sit on it. He goes and figure out a plan of how to accomplish it, and he works his ass off to make sure that it happened. And I think that's an amazing tribute, not only to a man, not only to a black man, but just to being an American and just being a human being, period. I think that speaks volumes about him. Another thing I want to talk about real quick before we talk about his baby right there, because we're definitely going to talk about her. Being cultured is something I always tell people that is important that we all should do. Travel. Get outside of your city. Get outside of your counties, your neighborhoods, your states. Travel some more. Go see some places. I think that we can learn a lot from being cultured going all over the world because you guys know that for a little while, Kobe actually did not live in the United States, right? Not only did that do... That's a testament to him being able to speak 7 languages, but the fact that he knows 7 languages and he could just pick them up and just speak them whenever he wants to, I could only imagine, what kind of conversations he's had with people across the world in different places and different situations. I mean, to just have that wealth of knowledge, I think is just amazing. Even if we were to just pick up a second language, right? I love your opinion, Taylor. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Because I want you guys to post your comments. You guys can see that your comments are rolling in there. Everything that everybody says will be able to be seen. So like I said, make sure you tell other people to come check out this channel. Come join in the conversation about this because we're going to show a few videos here in a moment, okay? Another thing that I want to talk about, let me see if I can get that photo on the screen for you guys real quick because it's really, really important to me. Because this is what the AFC, the Advocates for Children, stands for. More than him and his daughter. The beginning of Kobe's legacy. Let's see if I can get it up here. I got a lot of pictures. Give me a second. Because I want to talk about his father. I'm looking for the picture of Kobe and his dad. Because I don't know if a lot of people have even talked about this. I know I did. I wanted to talk about this. That is Kobe's biological father. That is Joe Bryant. How many of you people know Joe Bryant? Or if you're old like me, how many of you people actually know that he had an NBA career? Right? Joe Bryant is Kobe Bryant's father. He's been there every step of the way. Keep in mind, he was, I can't say how famous he was because this was a long time ago in the NBA. But he played professional ball, had a son, was in his son's life, and made sure that his son achieved greatness and watched him become a father. So a father teaching his boy to be a man and to be a father. How about that? Can we get a prayer hands up for that? Can we get the clapping emojis in the chat for that right there? one could only imagine what kind of person he might have been if he didn't have his father in his life, which is what a lot of kids in the United States of America are going through. I got to give a shout out real quick to LeBron James. As much as I might oppose him on the court, depending on what teams they're playing, because, you know, I like other teams over LeBron. But when it comes to being a human being and a man, I got to say, for him not to have his father, for him to turn into be a great father like he is, I think that is amazing in itself, because that's not the norm. Normally, young boys and young men that don't have fathers don't end up growing up into being something great. And Kobe did. He had an example. What am I going to be as a man and as a father, as a dad, as a human, as a person in my career? He had the example right there in his own home. How many of y'all hear me on that? His father was always in his life and groomed him to be a great father, not just a great basketball player. Let the pictures roll. Also about this thing, parenting, because you guys know I talk about this a lot. The nuclear family, biological mother, biological father, and creating a legacy. Financially, it makes perfect sense to have a biological mother and biological father in these kids' life. So imagine for somebody like this who was that busy and was that polarizing and had that kind of a career, you need somebody there to support you, to be able to be your mental, physical, emotional relief, and be able to talk to that person, for that person to be a good mother and a good parent, to be able to raise your kids, and for y'all to build generational wealth together. So that way, once you create your generational wealth inside your family, then you can pass that on to your kids, and your kids will have something else to pass on. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about, you know, creating, you know, financial stability, financial freedom, and generational wealth. Couple more things before we show these videos real quick. We need more great Americans and leaders, and I believe that everybody can be a leader. I want everybody to understand that. We don't need, when people say we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians, we use too many colloquialisms that really don't make sense for the needs that we have in America. Kobe was a great American, and we need more great Americans like him. So really you could think about it like he immigrated over here actually, and became an American, learned our culture, and exceeded in our culture. He was a leader, and he created more leaders. And I think that we need more leaders in our country, especially nowadays. Another thing that he was real big on was he was a big reader. And that's something that I used to be really good at when I was a kid. And that's a lot of the reason why I like doing my show, and I have a script, because I know that I have my struggles in reading. I got to a point in life where I stopped reading, and once you don't use your tools, they get rusty, right? I got very rusty at reading, so now I'm trying to make sure and just polish my tool up. And that's why, you know, I can respect him for being a reader and somebody who liked to learn, because reading, when they say is fundamental, it is fun to the mental. Lastly, I was looking forward to his life after basketball. More than while he was playing, I love to see him going out, doing interviews, and just talking about his business life and really being a father to his daughter. And let's go ahead and show you guys a couple of these videos, and we'll talk about Kobe, and we'll let you guys take a look at these videos. But let me give the fair usage as a technicality, okay? Let's go ahead and get started. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. I agree with that. Thank you for saying that. Said great leaders know when to follow, so I'm glad some people are listening to me right now. Let's go ahead and show you guys these videos. And what we're going to look at is we're going to look at a collective of videos that came in mainly by ESPN. But I just want you to hear what everybody had to say.
You know, I don't know. You know, I just don't have a lot to say. The news is just devastating to everybody who knew him, known him a long time. And, you know, he means a lot to me, obviously. You know, he was such a great opponent, you know. It's what you want in sports. He had that DNA that very few athletes can ever have. You know, the Tiger Woods and the Michael Jordans. You know, it's funny. I was getting to know him more since he retired. You know, yeah, this is a tough one. I don't. I mean, we have to go play. I mean, the news is just so devastating for Vanessa and his family, and there's just so many people he touched, you know. And you know, it's looking at my young players and seeing how emotional they are. They didn't even know him, you know, and it just tells you how far his reach was. So, and this is just shocking news for all of us. And sorry, I don't have a lot to say. I just can't. I have to go talk to a team before a game and tell them to play a game.
What was your last interaction with Kobe like?
That was great. We were at a function about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we sat and talked for probably 45 minutes. You know, we always like to reminisce. We would always laugh at our versions of our losses. You know, when we beat them in 2008, he had his version, and when they beat us in 2010, I had my version, and we would laugh at how different we looked at the games. You know, this is a great loss for the league, and I thought he had so much more left to do. You know, and he was starting to do it. Never seen him happier. You know, so I don't know.
I'm gonna go ahead and go on to the next video. We got quite a few videos here, and again, if you guys are here, do me a favor and click that thumbs up. It'll share our stream for other people that do want to talk about this and have this conversation. If you missed the conversation, I think I turned the DVR function on. You ought to be able to rewind it a little bit and hear the different things that we talked about. We talked about Kobe being a dad and being a parent, being an educator, and talking about his travel, his languages, so much stuff we talked about. But go back and just rewind it if you guys didn't get a chance to hear it. So we're going to listen to these videos, okay? But again, if Kayla's listening, I did get yours by way of PayPal. So shout out to Kayla if you're listening. Thank you for that very much. A lot of these videos, they all have to be brand new. This is Dwayne Wade, and we got more coming.
Today is one of the saddest days.
And I want y'all to keep in mind that not only did Dwayne Wade play around Kobe for a long time, but Dwayne Wade is also married and he's a father. So I want you guys to think about that also.
In my lifetime, it seems like a bad dream that you just want to wake up from. It's a nightmare. I know we all feel the same way about such a great leader, just a great champion, just a great person. If you got a chance to know Kobe, you got a chance to really know Kobe, ain't nobody better, man. Emotions are all over the place. These are the moments when you ask why. My heart, thoughts goes out to Kobe's family, his daughter Gigi. This is a sad day. There's no way around it. My family and I have been sharing Kobe stories got so many moments that he's given us. We're so thankful for those moments. I'm thankful for those moments, man. This was one of my favorite players. And I got a chance to have a relationship, a friendship. But I would miss him. I would miss the friendship.
Good game, tough loss, who cares? Most importantly, appreciate you all letting the locker room be tonight. Everybody's pretty emotional about the tragedy with Kobe, and all of us know what a great player he was, but he went beyond great playing. He was a competitor that goes unmatched, and it's what made him as a player so attractive to everybody. That focus, that competitiveness, that will to win. And even more importantly than that, we all feel a deep sense of loss for what he meant to all of us in so many ways, and so many millions of people loved him for so many different reasons. It's just a tragic thing that there are no words that can describe how everybody feels about it. So we all think about the family, and
I want you guys to remember this, Paul. You're saying, why hasn't Paul Gasol stepped up and said anything? I'll tell you this. Everybody grieves a little bit differently, and because we live in a social media age, I want you to remember that this is like brand new. Like, you really have to give people a moment to process, understand, deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying. And I don't, and there was a lot of people that didn't necessarily do like a recorded video, but you had some people that just, that took a moment to put out tweets. So you could also check and see if there were maybe some tweets out there if you're looking for particular people to speak out and say something. But I'd say give it some time here. Give it a week. I can almost guarantee you will hear a lot more people speak up and speak out, though.
the process that they're going to be going through now, that's where all our thoughts should be.
They got one more coming up here.
Just how tough was that to do?
Man, I mean, words can't explain it, man. For myself, learning everything I've learned basketball-wise from Kobe, what he meant to the game, the inspiration that he brought to the world. Not just that, his daughter. I'm a father. I can't imagine something like that, happening. I mean, it's a sad, very sad day.
Tamara, you even had shoes designed off the influence of Kobe. What did he mean to you personally as a player growing up?
Everything. Everything I learned came from Kobe. Everything. Take Kobe away, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have love. I wouldn't have the passion, the drive. Everything came from him.
Tamar, the tribute that you guys and the Raptors did before the game, the 24-second violation, who came up with that? Did you guys discuss it with each other?
I know Nick Nurse came over. I think he mentioned something to Pop. We all talked about it, and I don't know exactly who came up with it, but once we heard it, we respected it on both ends, and that's why we did what we did.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
We get caught up in this world in debates and who's the greatest, and love to judge people and off the court and on the court decisions. I think a lot of times we forget about who people are. And I know for me, I had a defining moment in my life that he pushed me in the right direction. And for somebody who's a new father, who has a baby girl, I'm not going to say prayers and condolences because I don't even know how you capture this moment, man. I know everybody's coming out with their Kobe Bryant story, and that's fine.
For the people that don't know, this is Jay Williams. He played in the NBA for a short amount of time, but he's been an NBA analyst for a long time, and I know that he had a pretty good relationship with Kobe as well. So again, we're gonna play a few more videos for you guys. If you would do me a favor and click that thumbs up. It's a very busy evening here on Sunday, and again, man, like really just focusing on talking about family, talk about his kids, talk about who he was as a human being more than anything.
But he is just, he was one of the most special individuals I've ever met. And it wasn't just his on-the-court performance. It was who he wanted to be, how he held himself. And we're all prone to make mistakes. We all live this life. But his innate character, his being, his spirit was incrediable. It was just incredible. And it's rare that I've been around a lot of people in my life, and every time I was around him, if that was through the Players Tribune, if that was through as a player, if that was through random workouts, there's something so damn uplifting about him. It just made you want to be better in every aspect of your life because that's who he was, and that's the standard of excellence that he held himself to all the time. And today's a tough day. Today's a hard day. And I hope that everybody at home, you give that person next to you, whatever thing you have wrong in your life with them, if this might be small or big, let that go. Doesn't matter. I know I curse. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
None of that stuff matters, man. This is about.
I love the fact that he kept it real like that. He said, if you got problems and issues with somebody, he said, let that shit go. Man, shout out to Jay Williams, man, for just keeping it real on live TV. I like that.
Life and being precious with every damn second we have here, because from somebody who knows who almost happened to me.
And I forgot about that. I don't know if you guys know, look up his career. When he first came into the NBA, he had went and got him a motorcycle and had an accident that almost killed him. It almost not only ended his NBA career, but it almost killed him. Look up his career. So he knows what that real quick, devastating thing is kind of like a little bit.
Like that, man.
And for the people that are asking, like, did it explode on impact? Depending on how high they were up, I'm probably sure. Like helicopter crashes are just unbelievable, man. But I can't even act like I know anything about that stuff.
It's just over. It's done randomly, arbitrarily. And his 4 girls and his wife, we need to come around them and support them and help them. And the NBA should cancel all games today. I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, we should mention there are 8 games in the NBA today.
And they didn't cancel the games, but let's move on to the next video.
What have you gleaned since you've arrived at the scene?
Well, one of the biggest revelations that we heard was that there were actually 9 people on the manifest of the helicopter when it crashed. And the sheriff here said that initially when the helicopter crashed, that firefighters had to hike up a hill because it was kind of a brush. It was a hill behind me, and they had to put out this fire. The fire was burning very hot, and it was very hard to put out because of the presence of magnesium, which when it interacts with water, makes it burn even hotter. At the same time, though, paramedics were able to get to where the crash site was and evaluate if there were any survivors. And at that point, they evaluated that there were no survivors of the crash, and the firefighters continued to try to put out the quarter of an acre brush fire that was on the hillside. Now, I actually visited the crash site earlier, and I can tell you it was very foggy there. There will be an investigation as to what caused this, but one of the residents who lived across the street in an apartment building said he heard the helicopter going by. It was shortly before 10 a.m., and he didn't think much of it because helicopters do fly through there sometimes. There's a sheriff's station right here. It's not uncommon, but he heard the sound of something falling, and he said something seemed off with the way that helicopter sound. He went outside, he was on the phone, and he saw the crash moments later. And so obviously there's a lot of investigation here to come as to what caused that helicopter to go down.
Breaking news in this Sunday afternoon, 5-time NBA champion, former league MVP Kobe Bryant died earlier this afternoon in Los Angeles in a helicopter crash. News reports are just coming in among multiple victims, Kobe Bryant on that helicopter. We're going to have Ramona Shelburne join us now from Los Angeles. She is on her way to the scene right now. Ramona, how did you first learn this information and how are you absorbing it right now?
Oh my God. I mean, I was outside playing with my son and I just saw an alert, and everyone I called, you get quick voicemails, and people close to him are in absolute shock right now. And I can't even process it. I live 10 minutes away from the scene, guys, and I can't even remember how to drive there. It's shocking that Kobe Bryant is gone.
He was their guy.
There's no question. If you went around the 30 NBA teams and started asking guys who was their favorite player, their hero growing up, I would say the majority of them, of these guys, would be Kobe Bryant. And beyond the players playing today, if you went to fans of the same age, fans in their 20s and their early 30s, it would be the same thing. This is truly one that will impact everyone in the NBA community, but especially people of those ages.
We are scheduled to take you to Denver at the bottom of the hour, about a half hour from now, in fact, for the Rockets-Denver Nuggets game. We have no indication that that is not going to take place at this point. We're hearing reports of practices being canceled around the league. In San Antonio, the locker room has been closed. The Spurs are playing this afternoon as well. Obviously, we'll keep you updated on any changes to the schedule, how the NBA might react to this news, which, we're finding out as they do here. Kobe was, a 13th pick in 1996. If you've forgotten, it was by the Charlotte Hornets. The Lakers brought him in a trade for Vlade Divac. And then he became known as competitive a human being as the league has ever seen. Sometimes that manifested itself in ways that might have been off-putting to teammates early in his career, but everyone understood that.
If you have that video link, either email it to me or post it in the chat to the person that said that. I have never heard of that. Titus, if you have it, post it in the chat or email it to me. My email address is theafcmatters@gmail.com. Theafcmatters@gmail.com. And I'm saying hi to all of you guys, and I'm saying hi to everybody in there, man. Appreciate y'all for being here. If y'all would, click that thumbs up, share this stream. I want people to be able to put their thoughts and opinions in the chat. So this is a live, open chat for you guys to post your thoughts and opinions.
He was in it to win.
Well, he was often misunderstood. And when you look back and you think about a guy that came in, I think he was still 17 years old, just turning 18 years old. And he's playing on a team in a league where there's grown men on his team, and he could not participate and do some of the things that his teammates could do in terms of being able to go out, and if it was have a beer after a game or whatever the case may be, he was too young to do that. And so part of what made him so great was his ability, because he couldn't do those things, he kind of kept to himself. He was a true student of the game. He watched film of all those that came before him, and just in his relentless pursuit to be the best to ever play the game, wanting to be that, he kind of isolated himself, because he, like I said, he couldn't put himself around and do some of the things that his teammates could do. And I think that's one of the things that made him really great as a player. It made him, he was misunderstood because it seemed like he kind of just isolated himself and stayed away from everyone. But in terms of competitiveness and willpower, and a guy that you want to be in the foxhole with, in any kind of game situation, he was a guy that you want to be. From the discipline that it took for him to stretch and work out and take care of his body, and then the pain threshold that he had when he would come down and turn his ankle and just tape it up tighter and still play in the game, and just all those things that.
Okay, I'm going to check my email. If you say you sent it to me, I'm going to check my email. I got you. But again, as you guys come in, thank you, Keyshawn. She said, hi, Jay, and the AFC, my family, my deepest sympathy and condolences. One, the Bryant family and friends. May God comfort all their hearts at this time of loss. God bless. And that is from Keyshawn Johnson, guys. She is a channel member and an amazing person. She supports the platform, and thank you so much. And also, let me give a shout out to Kayla. Kayla in the chat, if you're still out there, Kayla P. I'm not gonna give your whole name out, but thank you so much.
You know, if you were there like I was, that you saw and you understood that that's what made him special and made him different than everybody else. And then shooting for, you know, obviously he idolized Michael Jordan, who is, to me, the best that has ever played the game. And Kobe was right there with him.
To hear this news at this time of someone that felt so alive in the moment, how are you processing this information right now?
Well, you know, you listening to all the things that people are saying, and first of all, it's unthinkable. Someone who hasn't even entered the prime of life yet, that we followed his entire, not just his career, but his life, starting in high school. So by the time Kobe Bryant was 17 years old, most of us knew who he was. By the time he was 20, we all knew who he was, and then we followed everything that happened with him on and off the field of play for more than half his life. And so it's unthinkable. You know, we hear the news in the various ways we're consuming it. And just last night, I mean, I think he was tweeting about LeBron James moving up a notch on the all-time scoring list, and there he was. I mean, a few weeks before the end of Kobe's playing career, we sat down for what was going to be, you know, one of the final interviews of his playing career, and we did that in Denver. And, you know, we talked about storytelling and how much he loved the stories. And they weren't just of sports, they were of, you know, all kinds of stuff.
Jay, what did he mean to Los Angeles? Coming there as a teenager when the franchise was going through a transition from the Magic Johnson era, trying to get back to the upper echelon. Shaq comes in, but it wasn't until those two guys got together that they were able to win.
Pause. Right here. This is what I want to show you guys. When I talk about Kobe as the father, the man, and the husband, I want you guys to look at this. And this is the image that I want you guys to remember, is that he was always a dedicated father, man, and husband. Always had his kids there, always in his kids' life. Like, it mattered to him. And I really, this is the type of memories that I remember Kobe for always being an amazing father to his girls.
Championships. What did he mean to that city in terms of that team?
I mean, they really took to him, and I mean, you know, the passion of Kobe fans. You know, he was the Los Angeles athlete for, you know, this century, right? Really, since the year 2000, he has been the predominant Los Angeles athlete, and there have been so many greats that have come through that city over the years and represented that city. Sandy Koufax and Magic Johnson, and, you know, on, Fernando Valenzuela. You know, but Kobe really, over the last 20 years, has been the person that represented L.A. and, you know, I think loved the fans as much as they loved him, and they would be willing to do everything. You know, we've seen how many Twitter battles have been fought on Kobe's behalf over the years. I think he was amused by the passion, but what forged that is L.A. fans have always appreciated hard work, and, you know, it's known as a glitzy, you know, showcase town, but fans have always valued hard work. And so not only was Kobe did he have that flair for the dramatic, and was he a very exciting player, but he was a dedicated player, a hardworking player. And so that's what really resonated with the LA fans.
J.A., the crash happened shortly after 10 a.m. local time in Calabasas. We did report, so did the Los Angeles Times, that the crash ignited a brush fire, and that made it difficult for emergency personnel to get to the helicopter that had Kobe Bryant and the others on board. You mentioned you covered 90% of his playoff games, biggest stages, biggest players, biggest moments. Simply put, what made Kobe?
Y'all are saying that it was thick fog. Look, I can tell you, I've driven through thick fog in a car, and I mean, if it gets thick enough to a point, you can't see anything. Like, I couldn't even see the front of my car. That's how thick it was. So I'm not really sure what this actual circumstance was. If y'all know, then talk about it in the chat. It'll be seen here on the replay. Everybody will see your comment in there. So post it in there if you feel like you know what actually happened.
Kobe.
The drive, the determination, the absolute lack of fear, including the fear of failure. He had no fear of failure, willing to take the shot, willing to live with the consequences if he missed, but absolutely determined to go down shooting. Stubborn, even, sometimes to a fault, but ultimately, sometimes your greatest qualities are your worst qualities. And in that case, everything that made him great, that stubborn quality, that refusal to lose. I think of a game that they did lose when.
Guys, I just watched that video that y'all sent me. Titus and whoever else sent that to me. Who else sent it to me? Okay, I don't know if you want your name read out. But Jay, I got your message, and Titus. I just watched that video. I don't know if I want to play that. Oh, my goodness. It looks like, I don't know, how long ago was this cartoon posted? Oh, wee. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to show that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to show that. That's scary. Man. Where are my conspiracy theorists out there? I'm not playing that, but I will give y'all the link if y'all want to see it for yourself. That is eerie. Holy crap. I'll just send you the link. If you want to see it, cool. Relationship rehab, just click the link, bro. That bothers me for so many reasons. I don't know. What year did that come out? What year did that cartoon come out? Because the video was saying that it's dated for January 26th, but it had to have been shown or recorded way before that. Personally, I'd like to see the original. That looks like a copy. Everyone is pulling the video down. Sheesh. I'm going to at least download my copy. So there it is. I got mine downloaded. I'm not showing that. I can't show that. That's Young Jay said December 2017. Woo-wee. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. Maybe another time. Let's go ahead and get through these videos, though, man. That is scary.
And Robert Horry, the one time Robert Horry missed the shot, the one time that stands out of Robert Horry missing his shot in San Antonio, 2003 playoffs. And they were down. The game was over, and Kobe just refused and kept on scoring points and kept on driving, kept on pushing, and brought them to the point where it could even come down to a single shot. And that was a great example, even though we think of him as a winner, five championships and all that, but he never showed me more than in that fourth quarter in a game that they wound up losing. But he gave them a chance to win.
Interesting. 5-time champion, 18-time All-Star. I want to mention this with you because I know in your ESPN career and post you deal with social media journalism, all the fans out there. We tried to ask this question to Woj, but I want to see if I can get an answer from you. As of 10 p.m. Eastern time last night in the 10 p.m. Eastern hour, he was tweeting, active on social media, congratulating LeBron James for passing him on the all-time scoring list last night in Philadelphia, wearing a Lakers uniform, Kobe's hometown, Kobe's team. What do you make of the suddenness of it all, that here we are, everybody's just on social media weighing in, it's another Saturday night in the NBA, Kobe at the forefront of it, congratulating the king, and Sunday morning this?
The reminder that it can go away so quickly, and Kobe had never been more prominent this season, right, than last night, as LeBron is passing him on the all-time scoring list. So it's strange. It's even stranger because he had been so fresh in our minds. We don't maybe think about him every single day this NBA season as he's gone on living his life. But again, LeBron had just brought him back. The NBA has been blessed in that so many of its legends are still around. When they gathered the 50 greatest players from the first half century of the league in 1997 during All-Star Weekend, then I think Pete Maravich was the only one who was not alive on that list. And continuing on, we've lost a few over the years, and of course losing David Stern at the start of this year. But so many of the NBA greats are still around. The fact that Bill Russell can present the trophy with his name on it to the Finals MVP, that's a special, unique thing to this league. It's old enough to have legends, but it's still young enough that the biggest names can still be around. And to now lose one of the biggest names in the sport's history at such a young age, so prematurely, is just a tremendous blow to the collective conscience of the league. Kobe was unique in that he was a guy who had great perspective, someone who had played against Michael Jordan, came into the league when Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewings and that era, played against them, and then had been around long enough to play against LeBron and all the current generation.
Good afternoon. My name is Darrell Osby, and I'm the fire chief of the Los Angeles County Fire Department. I want to thank you for coming here to today's briefing of the Willow incident.
So here is the video. They're going to give probably the most descriptive information in this particular video. Let me see who said that. What about the reporter that called him K609? It is what it is. It is what it is. If that's how people feel, then it is what it is, man.
Today, shortly before 10 o'clock at 9:47 a.m., the Los Angeles County Fire Department received a 911 call of a potential helicopter down in a brush fire at the intersection of Los Virgenes Road and Willow Glen Street in the city of Calabasas in unincorporated Los Angeles County. Upon arrival, our firefighters discovered approximately a quarter-acre brush fire that resulted from a crash on the hillside. The Los Angeles County Fire Department initial response was 15 pieces of apparatus and 56 personnel that consisted of paramedics, engine company, heavy rescue, truck company, hand crews, and aircraft, and a chief officer to oversee the incident. Upon arrival, during the incident, and upon arrival of the Sheriff's Department, our two respective departments entered into unified command to handle this incident. Our firefighters on scene indicated that there was a debris field and steep terrain with a quarter-acre brush fire that was occurring at the time. Our firefighters hiked in to the accident site with their medical equipment and hose lines to extinguish the stubborn fire, as it included the brush fire, debris from a helicopter, and the fire also included magnesium, which is very hard for our firefighters to extinguish because magnesium reacts with oxygen and water. In addition to our firefighters hiking into the incident, we had one helicopter flying to the incident with firefighter paramedics on board. Those paramedics were hoisted down to the incident early into the incident. They did a search of the area for survivors. Unfortunately, all the survivors on board were determined to have been perished. Firefighters and hand crews worked to extinguish the fire while carefully preserving the incident for investigation. Currently, the investigation is still ongoing. I would like to turn this over to my sheriff to continue the press briefing.
Thank you, Chief Osby. Personnel from Los Hills Sheriff's Station responded to the scene of the crash site and assisted the fire department, and we've established a containment area, and now our Aero Bureau has a handle on traffic or aircraft accidents. However, when there's a fatality, then it switches to the National Transportation Safety Bureau, the NTSB, and the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. FAA is already on scene and assisting. We're waiting the arrival of the coroners office to assist in the recovery of the remains. As the chief indicated, there were no survivors. We have a manifest that indicates that there was 9 people on board the aircraft, the pilot plus 8 individuals.
Let me tell you guys like this, for the people that are watching, for the people that want to be here, do me a favor and click that thumbs up. It'll share the stream and let other people know that we're live. For the people that want to talk about anything other than Kobe Bryant, I've already given you guys a written warning. So this is my verbal warning to you to, if you're not talking about Kobe Bryant, stop. Please stop. I'm not blind. I can see the chat. I'm asking you out of respect to stop or just exit my chat, because I will exit you for you. Do y'all hear me? Stop. Next one's not going to be a warning. It's going to be permanent.
Speculation as to who the identities are. However, it is entirely inappropriate right now to identify anyone by name until the coroner has made the identification through their very deliberative process, and they've made notifications to next of kin. And it'd be extremely disrespectful to understand that your loved one was perished and you learn about it from TMZ. That is just wholly inappropriate, so we're not going to be going there. And we're going to wait till the coroner does their job, and we're assisting the families of those who believe they've been impacted, and it's a tough process. And our hope goes out to all of the members that were on board, all the family of everyone who was on board this aircraft, and God bless their souls. So at this point in time, we have nothing that we can add until the coroner does their job, and we'll be making those notifications when we have that information and we know the next of kin have been notified. Then we can release the information publicly, and you'll be notified in subsequent announcements.
Sheriff, there is one thing you can confirm. Do we have a confirmation actually of 9 bodies there at the scene?
That is our belief, yes.
Thank you. So we realize at this point there are so many questions. There's a lot of information out there, and again, we understand. There's a lot of information that's floating, but we certainly have a responsibility and an obligation, out of respect, of course, for the families. And this is a very difficult time for us all, for the city. We have the.
I'll say this: there's sometimes when TMZ is already big enough as it is, and in my opinion, to talk about what you guys are talking about right now. There's sometimes when it's okay to bring up something that is breaking news and you be the first to break it, and people get used to coming to you for that kind of stuff. I know it means money, but in my opinion, TMZ has got enough money. This situation is not something that needed to be, we got to break this first. How many of you guys feel me on that? I'm just like, in this media game, even I understand it, even being a microscopic media outlet on my channel for children, even I understand that I'm like, you know what? This really kind of violates rules and ethics, and maybe we just need to have a moral compass and not be the first ones to always jump out the fucking window and put something out there. I just don't like that. I really don't. Am I being too much by saying that? What do you guys think about that? To the people that address TMZ, I saw what y'all said in the chat. I think that they were absolutely wrong. I understand where the officer is coming from. He says that it was just completely out of line for them not to even give a chance to notify Vanessa, her family, her friends, their people. Let them absorb it for a moment rather than just everybody bombard her. Look, something happened to your husband. Like, that's an insane thing to have to put somebody through. Let's keep going, though.
Mayor here of Calabasas, also City Council, we thank them for being here. And in fact, they wanted to pass on a message that for those in the community that want to gather here and are coming to Calabasas, if you do, you are welcome to join others at the Dianza Park here in Calabasas, and the cross streets there are Los Hills and Las Virgenes. Also, the Sheriff's Information Bureau will be sending out updates as to when there will be, if there is one, a press advisory out, a notification of another press conference or any other updates through our Twitter. So please look for that. And again, we thank you so much for being here today. And again, thank you for your time.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis,
Here's the next video.
The Knicks and the Nets.
And again, guys, don't forget we're showing this by way of fair use under 17 USC 107. Here's the next video.
The Knicks and the Nets coming up here on MSG. Madison Square Garden lit up in the Lakers uniform colors, purple and...
Y'all know, somebody said they had no idea TMZ did that. Well, y'all should know by now that a lot of those news media outlets pride themselves on being the first one to put some information out. I pride myself on putting some information out there if I believe it needs to be out there, but I've already thought about the moral compass and that aspect of it. And just sometimes there is no amount of money that's worth being the first one to put some news out there. I don't like that. That was very classless, tasteless on TMZ.com's part. Straight up and down. Harvey Levin knows that. All those people down there that work there, they know that. And somebody should have stepped up and just said, I don't think that's such a good idea. Everybody else should have said, hey, we're not going to be the ones on the front line. I'm just saying. It's their job. It's not their job to embarrass somebody's family when they're going through something like this. You know they're getting ready to go through something like this. You still have to have class, right or wrong. Job or no job, you still have to have class. What they did, thank you. Thank you for saying that. What they did was absolutely classless. Period. You guys are always talking about how we're being held back in this world and the media is evil and all of that kind of stuff. This would be a good time to call out at least one media outlet that did things wrong. I'm not saying that they need to be gone permanently. I'm not saying ban them or what is that? Mute TMZ? Hashtag mute TMZ. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that what they did was just flat out wrong. Period. That's all that can be said about that.
Gold to honor Kobe Bryant. Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, and 7 others were killed in a helicopter crash this morning in Calabasas, California, reportedly on their way to Gianna's travel basketball game. Bryant was 41 and one of the greatest players in the...
With as many connections as they have, you cannot tell me that they didn't have a way to contact Vanessa Bryant. How many of y'all agree with me? If you agree with me, click that thumbs up. Not even reprimanded. It's not something they could legally get in trouble for, more than likely. That's why I said from a moral standpoint, TMZ, Shade Room, any of those news sites, if they violate people on a moral compass, then I think it's just wrong. It's just something that they need to really look at themselves and figure out, like, hey, who are we? What's right and what's wrong? And we cannot have this murky, line in between right and wrong. There should be a definitive what's right, what's wrong, or we'll wait. Me personally, if I would have been in that situation, the first thing I would have did was I know if I'm TMZ, I got everybody's phone number, all the celebrities, everybody's phone number, or I could have called somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. I would have said, Vanessa, I've got some real bad news to tell you. Boom, 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 boom. I'm sorry. And you could have even ended the phone call like that, but at least make sure that when the story is told, hear me out. When that story is told about Kobe's 13-year-old baby girl, Gigi, and Kobe Bryant, people can at least say, TMZ could have at least said, we called her first. How many of y'all agree? At least we called her first. We made sure that we told the wife first. You only get one time in this life to do things right. And if we are going to watch as we progress into a memorial and a funeral and a remembrance and all of these things that we know that is going to inevitably happen, then I would love to be able to tell from my side of the media perspective and say, I did things right. I reached out to her. I had enough respect for this man's wife and his life and his children who are still going to have to grow up in this world, and know that I did respect her enough to say, hey, we found out some stuff really early. That wouldn't even have taken 5 minutes to do. How many of y'all agree? 5-minute phone call. Not everybody has Vanessa's phone number. A 5-minute phone call from TMZ, that's all it would have taken. Have respect for this man, his 13-year-old daughter, Gigi, as a father, as a mentor, as a husband, as an NBA legend. Are you kidding me? a worldwide figure. The world knows who he is. At least have the respect to notify his family first. How many of you guys have watched even local news stations have enough common courtesy to say, yes, we know something happened here, but we're going to notify the family first? Right? Anytime I've ever done a story, family's already known. If they didn't, I notified them. I've done my part. I live by what I talk about. Let's move on. Let's keep going. Click that thumbs up. I want you guys to watch these. This is a couple of short memorial videos from the NBA. I want y'all to notice what they did because this had me in tears when I watched this, okay? Here we go.
The history of the NBA.
The New York Knicks joined the NBA family.
How do I know that they didn't? Okay, that's a great question, and I don't mind the questions. That's why I want people to stay on. Said they should sue TMZ. Well, again, morally, I don't think they should. Do they have a case? Yeah, they have a civil case, but I don't think they should. I don't think they should sue TMZ, no. I just think that TMZ fucked up. Point blank, period. Ty says, how do I know that they didn't know, that she didn't know? Because it was reported that the first time that Vanessa Bryant found out that her husband was dead, because she said that she saw it on TMZ. TMZ reported it, and that's how she found out about it. Let me know that you heard me say that, because maybe other people didn't catch that. But that's how she found out.
In mourning the devastating loss of beloved NBA and global icon Kobe Bryant, who passed away earlier today at the age of 41.
Said his daughters and his teammates also, yes. His daughter Gianna Bryant, at least one parent, one teammate. Let me see, Kobe, Gigi, parent, teammate, pilot. They said it was like 9 people if I'm not mistaken. So it might have been a couple of parents and a couple of players as well. Yeah, she just had her, Vanessa Bryant just had her 4th daughter 7 months ago. So the youngest baby is 7 months old.
In a tragic helicopter crash that also took the life of his daughter, Gianna.
Everybody on board died, including the pilot. So yes, that accounts for all of the souls that were on board. So yes. Why didn't her mother call her? If TMZ found out first, then TMZ should have reached out first. Anybody who found out should have made sure and made a phone call. If you're in major media, you've got phone numbers, you got contacts. That's why you're good at what you do. Am I lying? If I know some famous people, I ought to have their numbers in my phone. I ought to be able to call them up and be like, hey, yo, you should have some contacts or some way to make some contacts. That's why media like TMZ and these other places are good at what they do, because they have connections. That's the whole point.
An 18-time All-Star, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and a 5-time NBA champion, Kobe had a multitude of iconic moments here at Madison Square Garden, including setting a then Madison Square Garden record of 61 points in 2009. And tonight, we remember the life and legacy of Kobe Bryant and join the Los Angeles Lakers, the Buss family, and the entire basketball world in mourning his passing. Please join us in a moment of silence.
Thank you, Relationship Rehab. He said it's called responsible journalism. Y'all heard it from my brother. If y'all have never checked out his channel, I encourage you guys to do so, especially for the new people here. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, because we're always speaking from a parental standpoint. We always advocate for children first. That's why I wanted to do this story, to show you guys what a good father looks like, what a great father looks like, and what we really want to see more from our community. That's why I want to pick this story up really more than anything, even though the fact that I've grew up watching Kobe pretty much his entire career. But let's move on. Let's watch this tribute video.
In honor of number 24, Kobe Bryant.
Life is so short, man. Wow.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden, where the Knicks and Nets will play on this unbelievably sad day for the NBA. And Clyde, on my way into the arena, I thought of Bill Gallo. Gallo is the legendary sports cartoonist that when Thurman Munson passed away, the next day he had an unbelievably touching cartoon. And it was his two characters that he had, Basement Bertha and Yucky. And the cartoon read, Basement Bertha saying, "No, Yucky, I just don't feel like playing ball today." And she was crying. And that's the way I think a lot of us feel here tonight. Just don't feel like broadcasting. I know a lot of the players, excuse me, don't feel like playing. It's just a sad, sad day.
Yeah, you're
Watch
right,
this.
Mike. Like I said, it was like a shot, man, to you. So the players, a lot of these players.
For the people that don't know, what they're doing is they're letting the 24-second clock run out. And I want y'all to see this, and then we'll wrap up.
Players don't know Michael Jordan as much as they know Kobe, so they idolize him. And now we're going to give a standing ovation.
Well, what the players are doing, this happened in the game earlier, on the first possession for each team, they're going to take a 24-second violation in honor of number 24, Kobe Bryant. The Spurs and the Raptors did it earlier today. And whoever won the tip would do it first, and now the Knicks will do the same gesture in tribute.
You just think, like, we barely getting over the commissioner, now Kobe.
And you know what, Clyde, we all deal with death. To love.
Look at that. If that unbreak your heart right there, I don't know what to tell you, man. Look at that. That image right there. I got a few more to show you guys because I want y'all to see these next couple videos, okay?
Ones to families and friends, and those deaths are just as tragic.
Madison Square Garden.
Late in the third, early in the fourth.
Let me see if I can find them.
That's the way I think a lot of us feel.
We're going to give us.
It's yours.
Back it up.
But today, for basketball fans, Kobe represented the sport that
here's the next game
we all love so much, like very few others have.
In tribute to Kobe Bryant, as we've seen in San Antonio earlier tonight. These teams, respectively, will take a 24-second violation. And New Orleans, the microphone is yours.
And that was a 24-second shot clock violation.
We got one more coming out.
The Celtics to reciprocate.
Was a 24-second shot clock violation.
Not to make light of it, but if there was ever a guy that had the mindset of the show must go on, it was certainly Kobe Bryant. Clippers win the tap. They'll have the ball to open up the fourth quarter as well. And you're seeing this here. A great move here. Across the league, teams have been taking a shot clock violation. 24 seconds. Represents the number 24 for Kobe Bryant.
In honor of number 24, Kobe Bryant, a
That is
24-second
absolutely
violation.
incredible.
Spurs and Raptors as well.
And in honor of number 8, Kobe Bryant, an
neither locker room was available to the media prior to tonight's game, and neither team came out and went through their normal kind of individual routines, EJ, and it wasn't until about 10 minutes before the lights went down for the national anthem that the teams came out on the floor and went through a brief warm-up. So players like the rest of us trying to process this, as this will be a moment that both teams will take part in to honor Kobe Bryant, as they will take the 24-set shot clock violation.
And what a great honor. Kobe had such an impact on this game. Ricky Rubio is going to take an 8-second violation to represent number 8 that Kobe wore early in his career. This is just a true testament of how tremendous Kobe was as a player, but also the impact that he had on these guys out here on the floor.
And we're going to see both teams do what we've seen all day long here, Quinn. A 24-second shot clock violation in honor of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, all of the league is he's basically done a 24-second violation. As many of you know, that was his number. Some have done the 8-second violation to get it across half court because that was his number. But in great appreciation for Kobe Bryant and all he did for the league and everybody in the NBA.
And Quinn, you made your comments. I'm looking here at Carmelo Anthony, who was his teammate and friend on USA Basketball.
You look at him, he's having a hard time.
And now it's an 8-second violation that the Pacers take. The two numbers that Kobe Bryant wore, 24 and 8. There's Carmelo.
And I'm looking at Carmelo. He's having a hard time. As am I.
Yeah.
And now Trey is going to hang on to the basketball. And in honor of number 8, he is going to take an 8-second backcourt violation.
8-second violation.
And now the Wizards, to show their honor and appreciation, Washington is going to inbound the basketball, and they will take a 24-second violation. So the two numbers.
Give me a moment. For the people that don't know, let me ask you guys this, because I don't know if y'all know this about Gigi or not. Gianna Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter. Who was her favorite player in the NBA? Do y'all know who Gianna, the 13-year-old daughter of Kobe Bryant, who was his favorite? Who was her favorite player? I'll give you guys a moment because I know y'all about. I'll give you guys a moment because I know y'all are about 30 seconds behind me. So if you know, I'd like to see somebody post it in the chat. Does anybody have an idea about who Gianna Bryant, her favorite player in the NBA is? Does anybody know? Does anybody want to take a guess? And I'll give you a hint. It's a current player, and it's a player that we just looked at. I'll back it up just a hair so you can see, because maybe you guys didn't catch that. I'll back it up here just a little bit.
An 8-second violation that the Pacers take. The two numbers that Kobe Bryant wore, 24 and 8. There's Carmelo.
And I'm looking at Carmelo. He's having a hard time. As am I.
Yeah.
And now Trey is going to hang on to the basketball. And in honor of number 8, he is going to take an 8.
Who is that? Who is that right there? Notice the number he's wearing. You can even Google search the pictures. Gianna Bryant's favorite player is Trae Young. That was Kobe's baby's favorite player was Trae Young. Right there.
8-second backcourt violation.
8-second violation.
And now the Wizards, to show their honor and appreciation, Washington is going to inbound the basketball, and they will take a 24-second violation. So the two numbers that.
That baby wanted to pattern her game after Trae Young. Trae Young is her favorite player. For everybody that did not know that little bit of tidbit of information.
Kobe Bryant wore in his career number 8 and number 24 being honored. It has been a tough day for everybody.
Late in the third, early in the fourth, and really helped them get back in the ball game.
Let me put some respect on her name real quick to Ari Shai. Ari Shai just sent in a full $50 by way of super chat. She said, thank you for sharing, Jay, and I also gave you a moderator wrench just because you donated so much right there all at one time. So if you're listening, Ari Shai, from my heart to yours, I wanted to just say thank you for that. And it's an honor for me just to even have a platform to even talk about this, you know. So thank you so much. But you now have a permanent moderator wrench, and I really appreciate you, you know, just taking a moment to just donate to a platform where we advocate for children first. But really, I appreciate that so much. Let's watch a couple more videos, and then we'll wrap up, guys, okay?
They have decided that whoever wins the tip, and in this case, Toronto, they are going to let the shot clock run out because of the number 24 to honor Kobe Bryant. Fitting. Appropriate. As Fred VanVleet holding on to it, and the crowd recognizing what this means. Sean, how did these guys play?
I don't know. You tell me. It'd be tough for me in this situation.
We've been told the NBA is planning or has canceled some of the games this evening. And DeJounte Murray will do the same. The 24-second shot clock, of course, Kobe Bryant, number 24. Fans recognize that through chanting Kobe. And now
Keyshawn sent in another donation, and she said, love is the key that, love is the key that can't be lost. Tomorrow is not promised, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what she said. But thank you so much for that, Keyshawn. If you're listening, I really, really appreciate you. Really appreciate that. Hold on, give me
the game will actually begin.
Basketball fans, a tragedy has befallen the world of basketball. Earlier today, at the age of 41, Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter crash. In 20 seasons with the Lakers, Kobe was a 17-time All-Star, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and 5-time NBA champion. The NBA and the game of basketball will mourn this loss together. Please join us in a moment of silence for Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, Mamba.
To hear this news at this time of someone that felt so alive in the moment, how are you processing this information right now?
Well, you're listening to all the things that people are saying, and first of all,
guys, let's go ahead and wrap it up right there. That was quite enough of the news videos. But I'll say this again. I have a couple of notes here that I took. First and foremost, again, this is what I want you guys to remember. This image of him being a father and a devoted husband. Just an amazing person all the way around. He always spent time with his kids. He had his kids there at his press conference, had his kids there at the games. When he won his NBA titles, he had his kids right there. I mean, just always about his family, you know, from being a coach, coaching his daughter's team in the midst of him being so busy. He was always about his wife. She's always been there to support him through the good stuff and through the bad stuff. But that's the way marriages work. That's the way life works. There's going to be good moments, great moments, low moments, and bad moments. But we always need to remember that that construct of marriage is meant for one another to support each other, to make sure that you're able to raise the next generation, your legacy, your children, right? Kobe dedicated his life to greatness in every facet of life. And I always encourage you guys, man, just make sure that you maximize in life now. Do not wait until to the next day, to the next week, to the next year. Do what you can do right now and make plans and execute and just work your behinds off. Just unquenchable thirst to be great. These are also pictures of his baby right there. Playing for Team Mamba. And I really love those pictures. She started out obviously as a little kid, right? But that's just awesome, man. Really is. The fact that, you know, he had 4 girls, and I would love to have seen what his DNA would have manifested in his babies, right? Another thing is the fact that I think that we need to travel more, get culture more. As I said earlier, Kobe spoke 7 languages. Hell, if all of us could just learn one additional language, I think it'd be, you know, it would enhance our lives so dramatically, and it would make it to where a lot of times, a lot of conflict is usually from miscommunication. Hope everybody understands what I just said. A lot of conflict comes from miscommunication. The better we learn to understand another's language and culture, we can communicate better, and it cuts down on the conflict. Another thing that I want to talk about, thank you, perfect. His father was always in his life. That's Joe Bean Bryant right there. His father groomed him to be a father. I can guarantee you this, more than anything, more than him being a basketball player or an NBA player or anything like that, Joe Bean groomed Kobe to be a great man and a great father. Another thing with this nuclear family, biological mother and biological father, I always talk about creating a lasting legacy, having a nuclear family, because raising children can be a very difficult thing. And those also pictures of him and his dad right there, also amazing pictures. But you want to make sure and have that stable foundation, have that support. We need more great Americans, and we need more leaders. We can never have enough leaders. And for everybody in the chat right now, put a prayer hands up, put a heart emojis up, put a 24 in the chat, whatever it is that you guys want to do. And let's just, like I say, just end this stream with, you know, with a condolences to the family, to the friends, to the fans, to anybody that knows him, and to anybody that cares. More than anything, to the respect of his wife. She is now going to be a mother raising 3 girls by herself. You know, and she deserved more respect than what I believe, based on what I've been told, than TMZ reporting it and then just omitting, not telling her about what happened to these 2 right here. Okay. Lastly, I really enjoy watching what Kobe was becoming after basketball. I mean, that was amazing. I've watched him on the Steven Jackson and God dog, what is his name? Matt Barnes podcast. And I was like, wow, like, you know, Kobe was really talking about some deep things, and I was really just getting excited to see what he was about to become. And I just felt like he had so much more to look forward to. And it's a shame that that was cut down so quickly in such a harsh way. And just to show how fragile life is, man, it's just really, really telling. But again, to Kobe Bryant as the exceptional father, the exceptional husband, and the exceptional man, to his daughter, Gianna Gigi Bryant, to that young, innocent, awesome little soul, and you could tell that she was destined for something great. To the ones that are still living, to his other babies, and to Gigi's siblings, I encourage them to just stay strong, stay focused, and have that unquenchable thirst to just be great at anything and everything that you do. To Vanessa Bryant, stay strong. I know that's nothing more than a word right now, because your journey is really just drastically taken a turn, and it's changed so much. But from my heart to yours, I really hope and pray that you guys are able to really just find your way in the midst of this, amazing tragedy. So RIP Kobe Bryant, man. It was an honor to just watch you as a human being and progress into an amazing person, a human being, a father, a role model to his baby. His baby was about my baby's age, very similar in age. And I called my daughter right after this, and I told her, I love you. And with all my heart, I love my daughter. And I make sure and tell her that every single time, because this life is just a really crazy thing, man. This is your boy, DJ Just J. I'm signing out. We are the AFC, where we advocate for children first. From my heart to yours, I love you guys, and thank you guys so much. That ends our stream, okay? Y'all have a blessed night, all right?